increase in productivity, like doubling your productivity, is a huge. This is key, most important thing.
Hi Pete.
Hi Rob.
Good to see you again.
Good morning.
Back in the machine shed. We always seem to end up in here because every time we come down to Harper Adams, it's blowing a gale and driving rain.
And there's some great kit to look at in here as well.
We're here to talk about the drones and the kit that you're working with on a daily basis. But you guys at QuadRotor, yourself and Kev, were the first people to qualify as agricultural drone spraying people on the course at Harper Adams.
Yeah.
How are things going?
Yeah, things are going great now. We had a slow start because we were all focused on spraying bracken, Rob, and we did our course in May. We couldn't wait to get on the bracken, but as we all know what happened with that, Azulux, of course, got knocked back, and so we had to sit down and have a radical rethink about what can we do. And as you probably everybody knows, anything with a map label on the number on the ticket was going to prohibit us from spraying. So, it kind of narrowed it down a lot, and we focused very hard on what we could do, and we turned our attention to the horticultural industry, which has been very kind to us and extremely well received.
Well, when you say you focus on the horticultural sector, what, you're spraying inside greenhouses? What are you actually doing for?
We focused first of all on the shading of the greenhouses, because we'd seen a video that you'd done. And what became apparent from that, there were other sectors for working in glass that were equally as important, i.e. removing the shading during the autumn, the cleaning of the glass, where some of these greenhouses are 10, 15 years since they've been cleaned.
I saw the video you guys did of the wide-span greenhouses. Yeah, that looked like a very tricky job.
It was a tricky job, and that hadn't been cleaned for 15 years. It was pretty filthy. It was an extreme case. It was a great case study. And so that opened up a whole new spectrum. There's an awful lot of glass that's in a similar condition to that hasn't been cleaned, that is virtually redundant. There's just not enough light that gets through in its current condition.
So you're able to effectively bring these greenhouses back into production?
Yeah, very much so. That's exactly what it is, Rob.
Right.
We're now looking at special coatings on glass for the salad growers. So it's been a real eye-opener, a real eye-opener.
So you have really developed this niche market, because you could do because the chemicals weren't pesticides, but found them receptive?
Absolutely amazing. Very, very receptive. We've packaged this in a particular way for the horticulture industry. And I guess, it would be fair to say they like the way it's been packaged. Keep it simple. These guys have got enough on their plate throughout the year. It becomes quite a hassle at one point or another for them to organise people to come in and do the shading and the cleaning. So we can take that hassle away, which we have.
It goes back to the huge hike in energy prices recently.
Massively.
Meaning that they've just got to get the shading on when they need it and get it off when they don't need it. And that service just wasn't available from your traditional shaders because it's such a tricky, dangerous job.
As we've learned recently, it's all about light with greenhouses. It's not about heat, it's about light factor. So 1% loss of light, 1% loss of crop, as we've said in a previous video, and it really does focus the mind, and especially when you're losing 10, 15, 20% of light in a greenhouse, that's a big cost to not solve that problem.
Particularly when your margins may not be that high.
They're very, very tight, Rob. The margins are really tight in horticulture.
How many drones are you actually running at the moment then?
We started out, we bought one. We took the plunge when we finished our course in May. We took delivery of a P40, it's our first drone, to dip our toe in the water. We didn't know if there was a market there in May. So we bought the P40, which has been fabulous for us. It's been great for the horticultural sector. It's very easy to transport without us buying additional trailers, etc. So, it's working flat out at the moment. But we're ready for more stock. We're ready for our next drone. If we were going to buy a drone now, being November 2023, we would buy a P100.
Well, it is XAG's #1 workhorse, #1 selling drone across the world.
We've kind of recognised that as we've been working hard with the P40 that the P100 would be a better beast for the job. If you were asking me if I was going to buy it next year, then I'm very, very excited about the arrival of the P100 Pro.
What, because it's easier to transport or it's got a bigger capacity?
I think the transportation side is of great interest because the arms retract on that, but its productivity, Rob, is the key driver for us. It's a lot more productive than is the P40.
The pump flow rate has increased considerably. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Which means for us, we could probably increase our productivity. We could double it effectively. From a P40 to a P100 Pro, we could double our productivity. At the moment, we're working really hard, as you know, Rob, to build our pilot base. Some of that will be in-house, and we'll have our own pilots with our own crew at our own base in the Wirral. But we'll also be looking to recruit the services of pilots that come through the Harper Adams course here. So if we needed somebody right now to help us with a job, and they had a P100 as opposed to a P40, yeah, it's got my attention far quicker. And you realise after you've worked with a P40, I actually need a P100.
Yeah.
And I think when you've got the P100, next year when you see the increase in productivity from the P100 Pro, we'll be saying the same thing. We actually need that. Increase in productivity, like doubling your productivity, is a huge, it's key, most important thing.
And you say right now you're focusing on the horticultural sector because that's what was available because the products don't have map numbers on, and you're able to do it today. Is that going to be your sole focus then through 2024?
No, far from it. No. So the horticultural business for us, I see primarily, we'll be involved from the beginning of next year with the salad growers. They start their crops a lot earlier than do the flower growers perhaps, but pretty much through to the end of May, we'll be busy on greenhouses, shading, applying special coatings, and then we come back to that in the autumn, Rob, when we do the removing.
So you get two
and
bites.
The cleaning work. Yeah, 2 bites.
So does that mean you take a long Caribbean cruise during the summer?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that actually, yeah, and ordering a super yacht or a helicopter, but no, we're very much looking forward to turning our attention back to bracken.
Okay.
Of which we have a new plan of action with yourselves for that. We're also waiting on the arrival of the application licenses for slug pellets, for the herbicides, fungicides, pesticides, which will open up completely new markets. But what I am doing with Kevin at the moment is we're paying close attention to the markets that are, if you like, the best pickings for us. And concentrating our efforts on that first and foremost, and then we'll broaden the net.
However, I also think that the forestry sector with the biological area is going to be a large growth area.
It's a huge area of interest for us, Rob, forestry. We literally just started talking with the forestry boys now, but Kevin's developed some amazing technology that's going to enhance the offerings that we take to the forestry business. Phenomenal. That will make a huge difference to them. And I don't want to say too much and steal his thunder at this stage, but pretty excited about that. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to do an interview with Kev specifically on the operational side of things.
That would be massive, because what he's developed is absolutely first class, second to none.
What's the next steps for QuadRotor as they take on the UK's spraying and spreading?
The next step for us is expansion. We're looking at new premises, we're looking at new vehicles, we're looking at new staff, we're looking at new strategies, we're looking at marketing campaigns. We're not growing a business here, Rob, we're growing an industry, I think. I think we've realised that fairly quickly after we've started to get busy. Was just, we get offered opportunities probably week by week for totally different applications, some of which bear some fruit and some of which it's a bit early days yet. But it's very, very exciting.
Well, we do have the benefit of the fact that these drones have been operating around the world for the last 15 years. And if you look at some of the countries where they've been operating for 5, 10, 15 years, you can see flourishing markets. And why would we be any different in the UK?
2023 has been a real eye-opener for us. So much so that it's really fed our appetite for 2024, and we can see a lot of exciting opportunities around the corner.
And so if you had to summarise what 2024 is going to be about in a couple of sentences,
I say it in one word: growth.
So Pete, you'll be talking to the fresh intake of students who are on the November course, and in fact February's now booking up very nicely. When you speak to these people in this sort of commercial segment, what will you be discussing with them?
I think, quickly getting them to grasp the reality of the situation ahead, that nobody can make them a promise that this is a utopia moment. You've got to get out there and graft. You've got to get out there and find the business. But you've got to be prepared to work. This is not just about flying. You've got to have your commercial head on, and you've got to get out there and find where the business is and go and get it. It's really exciting. And by the way, you're not going to get too many closed doors.
One word from a previous conversation we had, you said, was graft. It's about putting the graft
Seriously
in.
about graft. Even the worst salesman in the world, I think, knocking enough doors, talking to enough people is going to generate some business. My preferred choice is to get in the car and go and see people face to face. It's the way I've always worked. It's the way I always will work. And that's my methodology, if you like. But there are many other methods that I'm sure younger people than me will take advantage of.
Have you heard of Facebook and social media?
Well, I'd heard a little whisper going around about something about that.
I wouldn't trouble yourself with it.
No, okay. I'll just stick to what I do. There are plenty of buses up and down,
Absolutely. And now that you've got your bus pass...
Yes, exactly. It's free.
Well, Pete, as always, it's a pleasure chatting.
Thanks, Rob.
Look forward to seeing you on the course in November, and anyone who comes along to the course, of course, can meet Pete and Kev in person and get some very useful real-world experience on how drone operations in agriculture and horticulture are developing in the UK.
Great to be involved in the development with Kev and yourself, Rob, as always. Thanks very much.